Hey, it's Nick Fundytus here, and this is Nick Answers Reddit for the end of August 2024. So this week's question is from a Redditor who just broke up with his fiance. So it says, my fiance and I just broke up a couple of weeks ago. We bought a house together a couple of months ago, 40,000 below the market value because we knew this homeowner personally, so we got a good deal. This is important. My name is the only name on the mortgage, also important, but I plan on moving out of state for a change of scenery. Understandable. And now she wants to keep the house. So what are my options? The house is probably worth at least 60,000 more than what we bought it for, so I'd be losing money just by giving it to her. She also doesn't make enough on her own to qualify for the mortgage. I just feel so stuck and lost. Please offer your best advice and feel free to ask questions, and I will respond as timely as I can. So, sorry to hear that this happened. I mean, this is going to be tough no matter how you do this, but the situation itself is actually doesn't have to be terribly complicated if everybody works together. So here, as long as you're amicable and you're both trying to reach a resolution that looks after each other, you can do this. So here's what I expect you'll need to consider. So first of all, your best interests, which would be getting a fair price, which for you is also trying to maximize the sale price. Avoiding expenses where you can, so realtor commissions, lawyers' fees, unnecessary taxes. Avoiding stress and headache, which is, I mean, at an emotional time like this, certainly something to consider. Maintaining good relations with your ex. It sounds like you both want a positive outcome for each other, so that's good as well. Her best interests need to be considered as well. So getting a fair price for the home. So she's looking in the other direction, trying to minimize that amount. Avoiding expenses, avoiding stress and headache, maintaining good relations with you, and getting approved for a mortgage at a fair rate as well, because she's going to live in the payment that she has each month. And that may be a different amount each month than what you were paying when you were living there and it was under your name. So here's the steps you will need to take. So what your ex will effectively be doing here is buying the home from you via private sale, since she needs to be moved on to title, you need to be moved off of it, and getting approved for a mortgage. This is not as simple as simply giving her the home or deeding it to her, but it's not that complicated. So number one, agree on a market value for the home. Nothing else works unless you can do this. So my recommendation is to get 2 or 3 opinions. Maybe you can arrange 1 or 2 and then discuss, even if you have to pay for them. So if that's a realtor or an appraiser who has access to comparable sold listings. Once you've done this and you both agree that what's going to be the market value, then she bases her price onto you, then proceed from there. If her parents are helping her out, then they need to agree on this too. Market value here is considered to be whatever the house would sell for if you sold it on the open market, and it was done so, with professional marketing, probably by a realtor. So, and you listed on the house tomorrow, so the current market. Now, second, make sure that she can be approved to purchase the home at the agreed upon rate. Once again, if you can't do this, just stop, put it on the market, because if she can't get approved for the mortgage, it doesn't matter. Now, whether it's a loan or with her parents, a mortgage approval is the next bottleneck. If the lender agrees to approve her purchase, I mean, you're good to continue. Next, get independent legal counsel. Now, would it be cheaper for you to both use the lawyer? Sure. However, it might not be legal where you live. And even if it's legal to use the same lawyer, it's very valuable for each of you to have your own legal counsel. Even if you're completely amicable, there's a certain amount of peace of mind knowing that you have someone in your corner giving you good, solid legal advice that is in each of your best interests. And if both lawyers agree what's in the best interest, that's great. That means you're doing it the right way. Next, so consider what expenses you have and which ones you're saving on. So for each of these, consider whether you'd be incurring these expenses if you sold the home to someone other than your fiance. So if you avoid any particular expense because of who you're selling to, you might want to consider at least partially crediting that to your ex on the purchase, in fairness. But I mean, whatever the two of you can agree on is fine. So ask your lawyer for a full set of expenses of where you are, but here's some examples. First one would be realtor fees. So this is the big one. These are going to be, depending on where you're located, the price of the house, etc. It's going to be anywhere from 3 to 6% of the sale price of the home. This is what you're saving when you're selling privately. Equity from each partner. So, have both of you been paying into the mortgage? Has she been paying expenses around the house while you've been paying the mortgage? If so, I mean, you might want to recognize her as having already contributed to some of the equity of the home. So maybe that should be recognized when selling it to her. Land transfer tax. So this is going to be her expense as a buyer, and this is one she would have avoided by continuing to live with you if you two had stayed together. So that's an expense she wasn't expecting to have. Capital gains. So where I live, which is in Ontario, Canada, capital gains are not paid on the sale of one's personal residence. But I mean, check where you are and see if that's the case. Sales tax, same thing. Our harmonized sales tax in Ontario is not charged on the sale of a resale home, but it is on realtors' commissions, on legal fees, and a bunch of other smaller expenses. So check what's applicable where you live, and make a charge. Moving expenses. So you're going to be incurring them when you move out. I presume she's not because she already lives there. Depending on how much of your furniture you're including in the sale and leaving behind, I mean, it's going to raise or lower your fees. It also might be, there might be value of leaving some of those behind if she wants some of that furniture, right? And then last of all is mortgage fees. So you're probably, if you've only owned the house for a few months, you're probably paying a mortgage penalty when you end your mortgage early, and she's going to pay certain fees to put her mortgage into place. So tally those and figure out what's fair. Um, Figure out the agreement and have everybody sign it. So if you made it to this step, uh, first of all, you need to write an agreement of purchase and sale. Your lawyer can do this for you. This is not terribly complicated for a lawyer to do. Or you can have a realtor draft it up for you for a flat fee or something. But really, all an agreement of purchase and sale is, at its essence, is certainly what she's going to be paying for the home, so the amount, how much of a deposit your lawyer will be holding until the home closes, and the title transfers to her. So what date the home will actually close. This is the closing date. This is when it changes hands legally. What chattels, so furniture and appliances, are included with the purchase and which are excluded. What rental contracts are being assumed by the new owner. So, for example, in Ontario, it's very common to have rented hot water heaters, which is kind of dumb, but is a whole separate conversation. And what conditions are on her offer to protect her. And I mean, conditions that might be on there to protect you and need to be fulfilled before a firm purchase. So, for example, it'd be prudent for her to have a financing condition to make sure she can fulfill the financing condition. So the list above sounds really straightforward. I'm sure it's going to feel a lot heavier because the emotional weight of the breakup here. But I mean, if you're both in earnest about it, you can navigate it. So all the best, and I wish you luck in it. All right, and I hope that is helpful. And we will see you, next week with another answer to another question.